What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dylan, and I am here to do my post-game analysis video for the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Miami Dolphins that took place in London yesterday. Um, I am also gonna do. There's the just real quick a little side note. The Buffalo Tennessee game is tonight, and so I'll be watching that game at some point. I'll probably be watching, uh, you know in the background while I'm enjoying Reason's show, because he's got his post game analysis breakdown video stream or whatever he's going to do tonight. So I'll probably be watching that in the background, and I intend to do one of my scouting report videos. And also because, when we get to the league standings, there was, league standing wise, the Dolphins had some progress, especially on offense. But I just want to let you guys know now that, after tonight's game, that will probably, a few of those things will probably end up changing, and will probably drop down some more spots. And especially too, also because, not only is the Monday night game not factored into the league standings yet, but also bye weeks started this week. So there are some teams that are not on bye, so we'll have to wait for those to get factored in before we'll get clearer pictures. And unfortunately, some of those standings will drop. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. So, and I got a bunch to say. I just want to get through this, though, and I am going to, I'm going to leave my commentary for basically the end. I just want to get through this, because obviously it wasn't very good. There were some bright spots, which we're going to talk about as we go through this here. And there was, some good stuff. Tua performed well, aside from, one or two throws, including, the interception, which was bad. It was totally on him. He took ownership of that, though, of course, in his post-game press conference. But aside from that, he was really good. Mike Gesicki had a good day. The offense overall had a solid day. But it is important to keep into context that this is a very bad Jags team. They were 0-5 going into this game. They have all kinds of issues. Rookie head coach that's got, off the field issues. I mean, he doesn't actually ever get on the field because he's not a player, but, issues away from the team and rookie quarterback, et cetera, who's had his struggles. So, there was no reason why we should have lost this game, but we did. So it is what it is. And they had injuries and stuff too. So it is important context to keep in mind based off of the level of competition we had to go up against. And that's why there certainly were some bright spots, but at the same time, there was no reason why we should have lost. And we should have, on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, we absolutely should have performed significantly better than we did, and it never even should have been this close. So when you actually go through and watch the game or whatever, it never even should have been this close, especially with the ways that the Jaguars were constantly like shooting themselves in the foot, getting penalties, drop passes, all this stuff, and we couldn't take advantage. Anyway, so let's get through this. Dolphins are now obviously 1-5 on the season. We are now tied with the Jaguars at 1-5. They won by a margin of 23-20. I did figure it was going to be pretty low scoring, and I did tell you guys that it could go in favor of the Jags. They could win this game. There were reasons to believe that it could happen, but it shouldn't have happened. But either way, like I said, I figured it was going to be pretty low scoring, and by a small margin, I had predicted a 2017 Dolphins win. As it turns out, it was 23-20 Jags win. So we did have 431 total yards, which is pretty solid. You like to see that. We did let up 396. We did have 354 in the passing game, which was pretty good. You like to see over 300 there. But we did let up 312 in the passing game to them. We couldn't break 100 rushing yards, which we haven't done yet once this season, so that's disappointing. But we had 77 on the day. We did actually have a pretty good day in run defense, better than I was expecting, honestly. So again, another bright spot. But then when you look at like the overall tackling and you watch the film and so on and so forth, the way some of these guys got burnt deep, particularly Noah, obviously there leaves a lot left to be desired. But anyway, so we let up 84 yards. We had 6.3 yards per play to their 6.4. We did get a fumble off of them, and we threw one interception. We were 52% on third down, which was pretty good too. Yeah, that's obviously, you know, you want to be at least 50%. Well, I'd say at least 40%, and you're probably going to, you know, your offense will probably be able to sustain enough drives if you can get at least 40, but definitely 50 is great. Over 50, higher if you can, but I like it, and that's actually the best that we've ever done, I think, this entire season so far. Again, though, important context, the Jags fucking suck. So, you know, there is still more to be left, you know, and the offense, like I said, I mean, they only mustered 20 points. They left plays on the field. You know, they had plenty of mistakes, penalties and stuff of their own. Another bright spot, though, is our third down. I mean, once we get to the league standings, you'll see we're still 31st in the league in third down defense. But 25% is good. Again, important context. The Jags, they suck. They suck, they suck, they suck. So, you know, we'll see how that continues throughout the rest of the season. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, you know, with the way that it's looking, even with Tua being back and the offense looking a little bit better, my estimation is that we'll probably remain in the bottom of the league in the vast majority of these statistical categories when it's all said and done. So that's not very good. But we'll see, man. You never know. There's still 11 games left to be played. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, we had the ball for 32-40 to their 27-20, which obviously you like that, although it didn't matter. We controlled the ball for longer, but it didn't equal a win. You know, and we win in a lot of these categories too, but we still didn't win the game, which, you know, it doesn't matter what these statistics say if at the end of the day, this one up top here is not in your favor. I mean, it is important context for how the game played out and everything and why everything turned out the way it did, but you know what I'm saying. So we had 7 penalties to their 8. We go into here. Tua Tagovailoa was 33 of 47, and I mean, he had a really good day. Like I said, aside from the 2 mistakes, including the really bad interception, which he took completely on himself, he had a really good day. He was absolutely not the reason why we lost this game. And while a lot of Dolphins fans are like, oh, well, he didn't shoulder the entire team like Lamar Jackson does or whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's not the guy and he's a bust. Okay, well, that's stupid and you're an idiot. But because at the end of the day, as I was saying, as I've been telling you guys, he is not, you know, unquestionably the offense looks way better with him in the game. It's without a doubt. Again, they're playing the shitty Jags, but it's not even close. It's really not even close. Jacoby Brissett fucking sucks. And even though Tua in this game was, you know, maybe 70% healthy, still, you know, the ribs are definitely still in his mind. The offensive line, they did all right, but there was still tons of pressure. But credit to Tua because he evaded a lot of that pressure by either using his legs to manipulate the pocket or escape, or because the dude's got such a fucking fast release that he was able to get the ball off in a number of occasions before the pass rush actually got to him. So the offensive line had an all right day, but we got to keep it real. They still didn't do all that great, and Tua was able to mask some of that. But even still, he's not Superman, and I told you guys he's not going to be able to overcome the bad play calling and the bad coaching and stuff like that, especially situational play calling, which we'll talk about a little bit more when we get through. Anyway, let's get back to his stat line because, again, he did have a pretty damn good day. 33 of 47, 70.2% completion percentage for 329 yards, 2 tutties, and an interception with a 95.1 passer rating. Brissett came in for one play. It was like I want to say it was like 4th and 1 or something like that, and they were gonna it was either like a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was like a, you know, it's just like previous times. They brought in Brissett to do a quarterback sneak, but they actually faked the quarterback sneak, and he threw the ball to Gesicki, who ended up being wide open for 25 yards. So that's why he's 1 for 1, 100% completion percentage for 25 yards and a 118.8 passer rating. Trevor Lawrence on the other side was 25 for 41, 61% completion percentage for 319 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 93.4 passer rating. So we did actually make Trevor Lawrence, at least by his stat line, look pretty good. You know, he when watching his performance, he did all right. He wasn't, you know, he made some nice throws, and he didn't make costly mistakes. Although he did fumble the ball at one point. But, you know, that some of that credit obviously goes to Christian Wilkins, who got the fumble, and the fact that they don't have a very good offensive line. So, but it is partly on him. So I guess he did make, you know, the one mistake. But other than that, he played a pretty solid game. He just, you know, the rest of his team, I mean, and look, some of their drives they could have sustained if they just didn't have, like, dropped passes and stuff. I mean, they had a bunch of drop passes in this game. So, you know, obviously that stuff's not on him. He put the ball in the right place. Even some really tight throws, too. And his receivers just couldn't come up with it. So, anyway, rushing, Malcolm Brown led the way for us, which he shouldn't, but it is what it is. This coaching staff are fucking stupid, so, you know, no shocker there. But 5 rushes for 24 yards and a 4.8. Salvon Ahmed had 7 for 22 and a 3.1. Tua added in 3 rushes for 22 yards and a 7.3. James Robinson, like I said, we did manage to keep him under 100 yards and kept him relatively contained. He was only had 17 rushes for 73 yards, did get a touchdown with a 4.3. I think he was averaging like 5.9 or something going into this game. So we did keep him, you know, the run defense was a little bit of a bright spot. Still leaves some room to be desired for sure, especially when it comes to the tackling that we saw yesterday. But, you know, a bright spot for sure. Trevor Lawrence had 2 rushes for 11 yards and a 5.5. Receiving, Mike Gesicki led the way, 8 for 9. Like I said, he had a good day. Jalen Waddle had a pretty good day. Mac Hollins, Durham Smythe. These top 4 guys actually had a pretty solid day. And it's another way in which you can tell that the offense is better than having Brissett in there, because he actually gets to these guys. Did he make mistakes? Yes, there was the deep shot to Waddle in double coverage where he had Kirk Merritt wide open. He missed that. And I get that, you know, but that's a learning experience. That's not one of those things where you look at like, oh, he's a bust for that, right? Because he still made a ton of great throws, including deeper shots to like Gesicki, for example, down the field. And, you know, Brissett just wouldn't have even fucking thrown any of that shit to begin with. So anyway, Mike Gesicki was 8 for 9, 115 yards. Jalen Waddle, 10 of 13 for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. And while he did actually have, I mean, that's a career day for Jalen Waddle, you still don't really like the fact that he had 13 targets, 10 receptions for only 70 yards. The 2 touchdowns is nice, but you want to see them push him down the field a little bit more. So now, obviously, if that one pass was completed that was down, you know, into double coverage, then obviously that stat line would be more impressive. But, you know, it goes, that's mostly onto the play calling and the way that they're using Jalen Waddle. Anyway, Matt Collins was 4 of 5 for 61 yards. Durham Smythe, 5 of 6 for 59. Salvon Ahmed, 1 of 2 for 15. Albert Wilson, 2 of 2 for 14. Marvin Jones led the way for them, 7 of 10 for 100 yards and a score. Jamal Agnew, 5 of 6, 78. And Marvin Jones, man, he mossed motherfucking Noah in the back of the end zone. And Noah fucking sucks, bro. He just sucks. So it is what it is. Laviska Shenault, 6 of 10, 54 yards. James Robinson, 3 of 4 for 28. Dan Arnold, 2 of 5 for 27. Luke Farrell, 1 of 1 for 21. And Chris Manhertz, 1 for 11. Defensively, Jerome Baker did lead the way for us with 5 solo tackles and 3 assisted. Andrew Van Ginkel, 5 solo, 1 assisted and a pass defense. Javon Holland, 4 solo, 2 assisted and a pass defense. Brandon Jones, 4 solo, 1 assisted and a tackle for loss. Noah Igbenogany did have 4 solo tackles, though. Good for him. Justin Coleman, 4 solo tackles. Raekwon Davis, 3 solo. Emmanuel Ogbah, 2 solo, 1 assisted, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and a pass defense. Emmanuel Ogbah had a pretty damn good day. Christian Wilkins had a solid day, and he's had a solid season so far. But I still don't think he lives up to the first overall pick, and I still would have chosen somebody different. But he is actually having a pretty good season, and you got to give him credit. Christian Wilkins, though, was 2 of 1 and 2 solo, 1 assisted, 1 sack, and a forced fumble. Eric Rowe, 1 solo, 1 assisted with a pass defense. Zach Sealer, 1 assisted tackle and the fumble recovery. For them, Damian Wilson, totals, we had 38 total tackles. You'd like to see that a bit higher. And the number that really isn't good, though, is the 16 assisted tackles. Not very good at getting hats to the football in this game. And again, tackling was an issue overall. They did have 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 4 passes defensed. For them, Damian Wilson led the way, 9 solo tackles, 3 assisted. Rayshawn Jenkins, 6 solo, 3 assisted, and a pass defensed. Andrew Wingard, 5 solo, 2 assisted, and a tackle for loss. Josh Allen, 4 solo, 3 assisted, and a pass defensed. Shaquille Griffin, 4 solo tackles. Trey Herndon, 3 solo, 2 assisted, a tackle for loss. Nevin Lawson, 3 solo, 1 assisted, the interception that Tua threw for 11 yards and 2 passes defensed. Rudy Ford, 3 solo tackles. Dakota Allen, 1 solo, 2 assisted, and a forced fumble. On the day, they had 41 total tackles, so obviously a few more than us, and quite a few more assisted tackles at 25. A better job at getting hats to the football. No sacks, though. 2 tackles for loss and 1 forced fumble, 1 interception for 11 yards and 4 passes defensed. And like I said, man, it doesn't... The offensive line looked like they had a pretty good day, and certainly, you know, game by game comparison, relatively, they certainly did. But again, there was a ton of pressure on Tua, and a lot of it he was able to avoid because of his ability to manipulate the pocket and his quick release. Now, against a tougher pass rush, which, you know, Atlanta this upcoming week, they're not like, you know, superstars, but they do have a better defensive line than the Jags, especially because Miles Jack wasn't even in this game. He was out. But anyway, the Falcons do have a little bit better, but really the next team that we're going to have to really worry about as far as that goes is Buffalo Bills on Halloween, because they do have a really good front. Anyway, Jason Sanders was 2 of 3 on his field goals. He missed one at the end of the first half. With a long of 33 and 2 of 2 on his extra points. Matthew Wright was 3 of 3 on his field goals with a long of 54, 2 of 2 on his extra points. I'll talk a little bit more of that in a minute once I get to the play-by-play, or the drive-by-drive, rather, breakdown. Michael Pilardi had 4 punts for a 39.5 average, 2 inside the 20 and a long of 59. And yeah, bro, like, people have started talking about a little bit after this game. He hasn't been very good. I've been thinking about that for the past couple weeks, but like, he's a punter and we have much bigger issues on this team. So there's lots of other things to focus on, but he really has not been all that great. And it begs to wonder, why did they get rid of Matt Hawk when he actually had a really good year last year? Anyway, Logan Cook had 4 punts for a 38 average, 1 inside the 20 and a long of 45. Kickoff return, Jalen Waddle had 2 for a 19 average, along a 20. Jamal Agnew had 3 for an 18.3 average and along a 27. Neither team had a punt return. All right, so let's jump into these league standings, because as you see, there's a lot of green arrows here, particularly on offense, and some on the defensive side too. But like I said, there, particularly with the offensive league standings, we are going to see the team drop. I mean, first of all, we're still not very good. I mean, we're still in the back end of the fucking league, down in the bottom of the basement. But we are going to end up seeing some of these drop after tonight, after the game gets played tonight. And then we might even see, you know, I mean, depending on how they play the rest of the year, like I said, I expect them to end up just being in the bottom of the league with the performance and with the shit that's going on. So anyway, total yards, they had 1,740. That's where they are now. That does take them from 31st in the league up to 28th, at least for the time being. Yards per game, they went from 261.8 the week before to up to 290, so that is good. You do like to see that increase. And like I said, the offense definitely is better with Tua. Again, context, it's a shitty Jags team. They don't have a very good secondary or very good defense really at all. So that is part of the context. But multiple things can be true at the same time. It can be that part of the reason why the offense looked better is because they don't have a very good defense. They don't have good pass rush. They don't have good corners, etc., etc. But it is also because the offense is more effective with Tua. Both of those things are true simultaneously. Anyway, so we go from 31st only up to 30th in the league, so a marginal increase. Passing, we have 1,427 on the year, which takes us from 30th to 23rd. But that one, and you see when it comes to per game, where we only went from 30th to 27th, that's going to be closer to where we actually are. So like after the things equalize, we're probably going to, once the rest of the teams play their games, although again, some teams are on bye this week, so we're not going to get their numbers factored in until this upcoming week. And then obviously there's still going to be a discrepancy between number of games played. So we just got to keep an eye on see how it goes the rest of the season. But you do like to see the progress, and hopefully we can continue in that direction. Per game, we went from 214.6 to 237.9 from 30th to 27th. Total rushing, we have 429. We did have a slight increase from 32nd to 31st, although that may not last for very long. Per game average, we went from a marginal increase from 70.4 to 71.5, which remains 32nd in the league. There actually was no change there, and that's part of why I say we'll probably won't stay in 31st in total rushing for very long. Points per game, we have 99, or points total, we have 99, which is a marginal increase from 31st up to 29th, 26th after ties. Points per game, a marginal increase there for 15.8, from 15.8 to 16.5, 31st to 29th, but 26th after ties. Defensively, we did have a slight drop in total yards per game from 422.2 to 417.8, but we remained 30th in the league. There was no change. Passing yards, we had a marginal increase in a per game average, which we don't want to see, obviously. 305.2 to 307.5, but that's enough to take us from 27th down to 30th. Rushing yards, we did have a decent, decrease from 133.6 down to 125.3. Hopefully we can keep going in that direction, because you would love to see this run defense actually improve. I'm not keeping, I'm not getting my hopes up, or I'm not holding my breath, but you would love to see it. That does take us from 24th to 22nd. Obviously still in the back half of the league. Points per game, a marginal decrease from 30.8 down to 29.5, which is a marginal increase in league standings from 30th to 29th, 24th after ties. Takeaways, we did increase because we got one takeaway in this game, up from 6 to 7 now total on the season, but we end up dropping in league standings from 14th to 16th, 8th with ties included. Interceptions, we didn't change because we didn't get any in this game, so we only have 2 on the season. Down from 24th down to 26th. There was a drop there, tied for 9th with ties taken into account. Let's see. And then so fumbles, we did get one, so we did have an increase from 4 to 5 on the season. That keeps us at 4th. There was no change, and we're tied for 3rd. Sacks, we did have, sorry, that's supposed to say 11. We did get 2 sacks in this game, so from 9 up to 11. That does take us from 26th to 27th, but we're still tied for 9th overall, with ties included. Passes defensed, we went from 24 up to 28, so that's nice. We went from a marginal increase from 7th to 6th, but we are still in the top end of the league there. We'll see, though, if how Byron Jones and Xavier Howard do, because, yeah, that's another bit of it. We didn't have Byron Jones or Xavier Howard because of the injuries that they have, which is in large part due to the fact that they've had to be on the field so goddamn much this fucking season. So we'll see when those guys are able to come back. Obviously, we definitely could use their help. I mean, you know, I would have even rather have an injured Xavier Howard or even an injured Byron Jones in the place of Noah Benogany, because he just got fucking roasted all goddamn day. Anyway, third down defense, we went from 57.1, a decent increase, to 52.4, but that does keep us at 31st in the league. Key points and analysis, did we win? Nope. We got embarrassed by the fucking Jags. I'll talk about that just a little bit more at the very end. Breakdown, let me go through this. We did receive the ball to start the game. We did get a touchdown on our first drive after 13 plays to make it 7-0. Then the Jags had to settle for a field goal after 8 plays, making it 7-3. Dolphins then kick a field goal of their own after another 9 plays to make it 10-3. And in the first half, you actually thought, man, look, hey, the Dolphins are probably going to win this game. They look like they're not playing, you know, like lights out, right? They're not fucking lighting things up all over the place, but they're playing pretty decent, and they should be able to take advantage of a bad team and come away with a win. Obviously, that didn't fucking play out, and so we fucking suck. Second quarter, Jags go 3 and out on their second drive. Dolphins then have to punt after 4 plays. Jags then go 3 and out and again. So, you know, we're holding them. Things are going well. Dolphins get a field goal after 8 plays on their 4th drive to make it 13-3. We're like, yeah, we got a 10-point lead. Nice. Jags then have to punt after 8 plays. Dolphins go 3 and out. Jags get a touchdown towards the end of the second half. Then you're like, that's not really good. After 6 plays, they brought it back up to 13-10, getting ready to go into the half. Then the Dolphins do get the ball back, but they miss a field goal after 6 plays to end the half. So it ended up just being 13-10 at half. Obviously a close game. Come back in the third quarter. Jags receive the ball to start, and they go right down the field after 5 plays and get a touchdown to make it 13-17. They take the lead. Dolphins then end up having to punt after 9 plays. Jags fumble after 8 plays. We really needed that, although it didn't end up fucking mattering, because then right after that, the Dolphins do get the ball back, and then Tua threw an interception. Luckily, though, it didn't turn into any points, and so on and so forth. So, again, it was a bad interception. He took responsibility, but it didn't lose us the game. And in fact, he did far more to help us win the game than he did to help us lose the game by a long shot. And there were so many other things that went wrong, including some things we're about to talk about here in a minute once we get to the fourth quarter. But anyway, Jags then turn over on downs after 5 plays. Dolphins then get the touchdown on the very next play, or very next drive after 7 plays. So Tua comes back. He's like, I threw the interception, but then he leads us down the field. I think, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, this was the 91-yard touchdown drive that they went on. So he took them basically the entire length of the field, make it 20-17, take the lead back. Then the Jags end up having to punt after 5 plays. Dolphins then punt after 4 of their own. Then the Jags kick a field goal to tie it after 9 plays, 20-20, which, by the way, I mean, look, it was crazy, bro. That kick was out of control. Like, it looked like that shit was going to be wide right. And then, like, last second, that shit hooks back in and just goes into the corner of the motherfucking uprights, bro. Like, that shit was fucking insane. But that's the thing, bro. Sometimes the ball just bounces in your favor and sometimes it doesn't. And that's one of the reasons why we got so lucky last year, because, and, you know, again, it's not all Tua's fault. In fact, most of it is not his fault, but he did throw a lot of would-be interceptions last year because he wasn't healthy, because the offensive line sucked, the play calling was bad. All of those things were the reasons why, but he got lucky at the end of the day because a lot of those didn't turn out to actually be interceptions. So, and a lot of the stuff that happened last year with our turnovers on defense and stuff was in large part a lot of luck. Right? And so but that's why it's super hard to replicate that stuff year in and year out. And look, you know, last year we got a ton of luck. Ball bounced our way. We got to be a healthier team that got to beat up on decimated rosters and bad teams last year. That's not the case this year. And I told you guys it wasn't gonna be. But anyway, so let's see. Anyway, that kick was absolutely fucking outrageous. But then the Dolphins end up turning it over on downs after 7 plays right around midfield because they decided to go for it on 4th and fucking 1, instead of putting the ball in Tua's hands and getting it to one of his playmakers like Waddle or Gesicki, all of which were, or even fucking Durham Smythe, all of which were, or Matt Collins, all of which were having really good days, they decided to do a fucking 4th and 1 run to Malcolm Brown, and it started off in the fucking shotgun. So they ended up fucking snapping the ball like 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he couldn't fucking get there. He gets stuffed. So we turn the ball over at the very end of the game. And that's on fucking coaching, bro. 100% on coaching and terrible situational play calling. Okay? But then it gets fucking worse, because not only do we set them up with good field position, their drive, they had a penalty, we had a loss of yardage play, and then a sack. We fucking bumped them back, and then, I mean, it was absolutely fucking outrageous. They get some yards back or whatever, right? They end up getting to a 4th and 5 scenario. So obviously, you know, they decide it was tied at that point. The game was running out. There was like, you know, on that drive started with like 30 seconds or something left to go. It's 4th and 5. They get down to 5 seconds left. They're like, fuck it. Let's go for it. Let's see if we can try to win this in regulation. If not, worst case scenario, it's probably going to end as regulation will probably end at 20-20. We'll be tied going to overtime. That's probably what they're thinking. Now, here's where coaching super fucked up again. Well, first of all, I don't even remember where it was, but the fact that Brian Flores challenged those 2 plays that he did, the back-to-back plays, absolutely stupid, because there was no way that there was clear evidence to fucking overturn that shit. There wasn't clear evidence, bro. And so, you know, it was a waste. It was a complete waste. And we actually could have used those timeouts for a number of reasons, even if it was just to try and ice the kicker, for fuck's sake. Anyway, and by the way, real quick, when it comes to the touchdown that got taken back, look, bro, if I'm keeping it just 100% honest, it did not look like the ball touched the player's hand to me, but there is an argument to be made that it did. But unfortunately, when you look at the replays and with the calling on the field that it didn't touch the Jags player, there was not enough clear evidence to overturn that, especially considering the trajectory of the ball, the spin of the ball. None of that changed, which it like 99% of the time it would if, you know, it came into contact with a solid force, solid material of some kind, like a human hand, right? So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. But so we get down to this, and the motherfucking Jags, and Urban Meyer actually came out after the game in his press conference and mentioned this. He's like, yeah, bro, we were getting ready to do a Hail Mary on 4th and fucking 5 with 5 seconds left, and that's how we were going to try and win the game from, you know, roughly about midfield, a little bit on Dolphins side of the field or something like that, right? Brian Flores decides to call a fucking timeout. Why, bro? Why would that be the motherfucking time that you decide to call a fucking timeout? Why? Why? You're an idiot. You're stupid. You're a moron. Because what ended up happening? Instead of using that to maybe try and ice their kicker who was going to go for the fucking game-winning field goal, he uses it then, okay? And then it gives them time to not only rest and catch their breath, but then they think about it and they're like, okay, you know what? We're going to change up our game plan. And they went for it for a short pass that picked up the fucking first down that left them with 1 second left to go on the fucking clock, and then they called a timeout. And then they kicked the motherfucking game-winning field goal. Real quick, injury watch. Jerome Baker was the only injury we sustained. It was a head injury, but he returned. It obviously wasn't anything fucking serious. But look, bro, there was no reason that this game should have been lost. And at the end of the day, though, I told you, man, this team has so many issues. Tua was not the problem. The coaching was bad. All of that stuff is fucking bad. Obviously, our glass wide receivers, like, it's just a fucking joke. And look, at the end of the day, based off of the expectations for the season is over, bro. The season is motherfucking over. Okay? And now we just gotta hope we just gotta hope for competitive games and that Tua can prove he's the guy. But unfortunately, I feel like there's gonna be a desperation move coming where Stephen Ross says, fuck it, go get Deshaun Watson. I hope that doesn't happen, because it's not going to save the season. It's not going to solve the problems we have. It's going to end up backfiring, and we're just going to mortgage away our future for this one guy, and it's not going to turn out how any of us want. So, all right, anyway, enough of that. I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comments section. Of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dylan Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.